Hello and welcome back to the podcast. We are starting this week off with a little weekend recap, which is honestly kind of short and sweet this week because we hung out and
we sure did.
Shocking. I feel like we haven't really been spending our free time together.
We have not
as of late. But we did hang out and we also started working on a few home projects. So we can't say too much. However, if you want to see the first look at anything that goes on home related, follow my homepage on Instagram, Haley Jade Home. And I also started designing the nursery.
You sure
which
did.
is wild. And yeah, so I'm going to be putting some sneak peeks of that up on that page too at some point. But also I have this like crazy fear that I need to buy everything first, like just in case.
Yeah.
Because also I'm finding, which is wild because you don't have that long during pregnancy. And some of these items are back ordered for so long.
Are they really?
It's like regular furniture. You know, like we've talked about this.
Yes, we have.
Like couches. It'll be like
takes forever.
5 months. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
All
what am I
right.
doing with this information? So you need to plan so far in advance. So anyways, started working on that stuff. We'll be sharing that on Haley Jade Home. Also, for this week, for the bonus content, we're starting some holiday bonus content and we're unboxing some advent calendars. And when I tell you, it has been so hard for me to not open these.
I love that.
Just to see what's in them. So if you want to see that, make sure you join the Patreon bonus content. But let's get into this week's what's going on. So first and foremost, obviously, the Lions won again.
Because of course they did.
Right. Obviously. And it was brutal to watch at first. I will say this. It was giving me flashbacks, but in like the opposite way of the 49ers game last playoff season. Like
it was very reminiscent of those emotions.
Yes. Roles reversed though.
Thank goodness. Because I was quite nervous. I was on edge. I was on edge watching the replays of multiple of the plays where it's like, it worked out in our favor. Jake Bates made the field goal, and I was still scared watching the replay.
Right. And I felt like, this is honestly for people who maybe like aren't that into football, it felt like, though you could still get in on the tee because if you weren't a fan, you were probably thinking, this is the script. Because I remember when the 49ers did that in the playoffs, I'm like, it's part of the script. The script is real. Like, the script has to be real. There's no way this can happen. And like, we are the ones written in the script this season.
Because we are winning the Super Bowl this season, as we've stated many of times on this podcast. But this game was, and mind you, this game also took place at 8:20 p.m., so it was already a late start, past our bedtime, and I was sleepy. I was hoping, in my mind, not that I didn't want to watch the full game, that it would be some kind of blowout where I could go to bed peacefully, maybe at like the end of the third quarter, halfway through, go to bed, wake up, watch the highlights of the second quarter, and go on with my life. No, I couldn't do that, and I could barely sleep because I had so much anxiety pumping through my veins.
Yeah, the adrenaline after the game was over, too, made it really tough to go to bed. But I will say, at halftime, I was like, for my own sanity, do I just turn it off and go to bed? But I'm so glad I didn't. But then again, I low-key miss the days where I was not invested as much in football because now I'm so invested and I actually get worked up and I'm like, this is not,
as well. It's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
I would have had a bad day on Monday if the Lions would have lost. And
True.
I didn't think that was the person I was meant to become, but here we are. And my mood is, in fact, swayed based on how the Lions play, and that's just,
and I think a lot of people can relate, but even if you can't relate, I still think this story is so good. So our kicker, who ultimately won us this game, and perhaps even another game in the season, I remember it was kind of all riding on his back, and his name is Jake Bates. His story is honestly just so inspiring. He literally thought he was done with football, thought he was done with sports, because he also used to play soccer, and he thought he was done. He got a job in Houston as a brick salesman. Houston is who we were playing, and he just went there and won the game for his new team that signed him when he thought all hope was lost.
I know.
And he literally just won in his,
it's
town.
kind of emotional. The whole team was, putting him up in the air after they won, and I wanted to cry. I was like, this is a scene out of a movie. They could make a movie about his life, I fear.
They could make a movie about the Lions.
As they should.
And they probably
really
will.
Should. I would love to see that. I would go, I would watch, I would be sat with popcorn, and I would be thoroughly entertained. And they could cast Dan Campbell as Dan Campbell, and I really think he would do a damn good job at that.
It's hard for him to mess up anything.
And I don't think anyone could do him justice, truly. Who would play him?
You're so invested in Dan Campbell. Also, though, this was interesting. This just came out this past week. Shabuzi is set to perform at the Thanksgiving halftime show.
I was kind of surprised.
I kind of was too, but also I was really excited about it because I really I was like, this is so cool. But then I thought again, am I excited? Because does this always kind of ruin the person?
I really hope
for
it doesn't.
us. Remember,
there's a bit of not a curse, but potentially
yes, it
could be cursed.
I think it doesn't ruin the person, but it's the performance never does the person justice.
No, I fear that whoever performs is typically set up to fail because the audience at home fails to recognize, and I would say the audience physically there first and foremost at the game fails to realize that most of these halftime performances that happen are made for TV. They're not going to be as cool as they are portrayed. What's the word I'm looking for? Portrayed on TV because they're filming it. It's in the middle of the halftime game. The lights aren't going down unless it's, an 8 o'clock game. It's going to be bright in there. It's not necessarily going to be the best transitions in and out. I remember years ago when we saw Big Sean at halftime, I had gone to the Thanksgiving game. He was still hype. He got the people going, but my mom was like, it's kind of weird that the lights are on in here right now. It's
and
just a different vibe.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things that does it. And then they also don't get, which we talked about this for Jack Harlow last year, the set doesn't really get a budget, and we don't know if it's because of this performance specifically, the artist, it's on the artist to bring it all in, or what the situation is, but they typically get a very small area that they also have to put their set in. So no matter what, you're in this huge stadium and you're getting such a small area of the people that can actually see them, know what's going on. Other than that, to everybody else, it's just where are you? What are you doing? Who's singing? Is this just an audio?
Truly, because we talked about this last year. They need to activate the field. They need to get a bunch of dancers out there. Back in the day, I say this because this was when we were younger and we had friends that did it. They would have a bunch of local dancers come in, a bunch of students, middle, high school age students, and they would fill the field with dancers. And that looked cool because it was good for the amount
everybody
of space.
Could see it and knew what was going on. Yeah, I don't exactly know what changed, and maybe they will eventually change it. I feel like we've been doing a lot more, so maybe it will change at some point.
With the ticket prices they're charging, they should have a fat budget for this, seeming how all tickets are $400 plus.
Yeah, the ticket prices have skyrocketed.
They sure have.
Also, though, on the topic of the NFL, we got some clips this week of Taylor Swift walking into a Chiefs game as one does, as she normally does. But this time she kind of gave her security guard a little lesson on politeness.
I loved it.
I did too. I felt like she was gentle parenting her security guard. They were basically telling people move back. And she was like, please move back, please. Because he didn't say please. It was honestly just a funny moment. And I feel like that's the gentle parenting we all need these days. But also, we have another duo that's been making headlines because they've been really focused on their sensitivity. And that is Cynthia and Ariana Grande doing their PR for Wicked. I have seen endless amounts of spoofs on TikTok of people acting like they're them getting asked the most like ridiculous question, like, what was lunch normally on set? And they like hold each other and pretend to cry. Because basically the joke is that every question they get asked, they're like very emotional and emotionally invested into the film. So they're like really like taking it all seriously, which is great, but being very emotional in their responses.
They really are. I've seen many of clips of this. And at first, I was like, oh my gosh, how precious. They're so invested. Like, I know for Ariana Grande, this was her dream role. She's taken it very seriously. I'm sure the same for Cynthia. And I was like, this is so sweet. And then it was clip after clip after clip of the tears. And what I've gathered is this is apparently theater kid behavior.
I've seen people saying that in their defense.
That is apparently who they are at their core, is theater kids. And I guess this is how theater kids would act post-show, whether that be...
Yeah, like somebody said like post-show depression, when like a show's finally over and you realize you put like all this energy and work and time into something and you're kind of just like, you can't let it go. You're not ready to let it go.
Totally.
And so that could be the reason for their emotional responses. It is funny to see. And I was saying to you, I'm like, they like have to be touching each other,
no,
like
they
holding
do.
hands
They're like...
and stuff. No, don't do it. And see, I can't even do it. And so I was laughing because I'm like, this gives me the vibe of like, if you've seen the Drew Barrymore talk show,
you know,
she always like touches the guests and gets really close to them and like gets in their face. And that's my worst nightmare, truly.
Yeah.
And so I actually just saw a clip and it reminded me of like the Wicked PR. Martha Stewart went on Drew Barrymore's talk show. And this is why like maybe I deep down am her. Drew Barrymore came and like started rubbing her arm and Martha literally like pushed her off and was like...
No, and I can understand why. I told you this is a side note, but I'm not really a hugger unless I really know somebody. But if I know them too well, like I don't hug her. I'm not a hugger, don't like shaking people's hands, don't like people getting too close. I was walking into work one day and some lady approached me on the street trying to interview me just about, I don't know,
something in Detroit, and
kept getting so close to my face, and I would like take a step back and then she would get closer to me and then I would step back
read
more.
The signs,
I know. And I was like, I'm late for a meeting, ma'am, but I'm not. I would be the same way as Martha.
I know, but we have to be careful about saying that because I've realized the best case scenario now in my life is like to just hug everybody when I'm like entering or leaving, because it now creates like a question of like, what do you do or don't do? And then it started people being like about to hug me and then being like, oh, you said you don't like hugs.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, dude, right. Don't make it weird. Like if you're hugging everyone, just hug me. And like people will do that to me now. So now I'm like, just if you're hugging everyone, hug me. Like don't make it weird.
Yes.
Like
don't go the extra length to make it more uncomfortable. I'm already bad at like hellos and goodbyes with people. So
and specific people, do you ever like in your head before the situation occurred, you're like, did I hug them last time or did I like
oh my gosh,
not hug them?
All the time.
It's so bad. And then like you overanalyze it and you like don't know what they're going to do. So then you just like put your arms down. You're like waiting for them to initiate something.
No, that is so real because I feel like that's happened on multiple occasions in my life. And I don't know. I'm just awkward when it comes to...
I don't like the highs and buys. Like, once we get started talking, we're all hanging out, fine, cool. But, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, did I hug them before? Because now if I don't do it again, they're going to be like, oh, she's rude. Or, like...
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to do...
No, I think about that a lot.
But it depends on the vibe. It depends on the vibe.
That's the source of my social anxiety is also, on the same note, not knowing, like, I feel like I overthink questions to ask people when I'm starting a conversation because I'm so convinced that, like, any question I'm going to ask someone is going to offend them somehow, no matter if it's like, how's your job going? Like, what if they don't want to talk about their job? Like,
oh my gosh, no, like, don't think like that. I mean, most people aren't going to tell you the truth anyways, so those questions I don't overthink. But sometimes I will be like, did they already tell me this? This has been happening a lot to me lately. Where like it'll be like such a small detail, but I'll be like, oh my God, did we already talk about this? And I can't remember, especially now. Like my brain is like mush.
Fair enough.
And so I literally will be like, they've already told me this, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I'll like sit there and be like, okay, so don't bring that up, because if they already told you, you're going to look rude that you don't listen when they talk or something, but you do, but you just have a terrible memory.
No.
I always joke, I'm like, I have the memory of a goldfish, and it's 100 times worse these days, so I get it. Well, we have a little bit more that we saw about Wicked this past week as they are making their rounds, and we found out that the set design on Wicked, much like, I feel like they really overachieved with this one, because much like we were talking about, they did all their vocals live.
Yep.
And now they're saying that the set design was almost no CGI. And apparently they built almost everything, like including literally bringing in a real train.
Yep.
And decking it out to go through to get to the Munchkin Village. And you said they planted 9 million tulips.
Yes, to be around.
Who did that?
I don't know. And where did they find the space to do this?
Right. And like, are they keeping them there?
Yes, like, can we go visit the tulips?
Right. That would be sick.
And I would love to do that because they look gorgeous on film. And I just like, I can't fathom the work that went into creating this set. Everything was built from scratch. Their school, the Munchkin Village, Oz, all of it.
You have to think, even if they had 9 people planting flowers, that's still 1 million flowers per person.
They had to have more.
They had to have had 1,000 people
planting flowers.
More, because that's still a crazy amount.
Arguably, what I did research on TikTok was that it was 9 million plus.
That could be any amount.
I know.
I don't like when people do that, like 9 million plus, and you're like, plus how many? Like, just say.
Could
like,
be a
you
million.
already counted 9 million.
Could be 10.
Right.
Could be 20.
Just tell us.
Hard to say.
Yeah, so that is new circulating through this PR press coming out. And then also, I was kind of saying, the way that they're doing press and, you know, the outfits and, like, everything, the emotions and, like, the seriousness of it all, it is kind of, and I think it's going to be huge. It is kind of giving me Barbie.
It is. It's the new Barbie. I love it. They have collabed with, I think, every brand I know of.
So many. You guys, I looked this up, and just from one site found at least 30 different collabs that they did.
And that's probably just the beginning.
Oh, yeah. But some of the ones that I kind of already knew about, they did base. They did a couple of suitcases and bags. Stanley did the pink and the green cups. Forever 21 did over 60 styles of Wicked.
That's wild.
Bloomingdale's did a collab with a brand called Aqua, and they had a bunch of very nice pieces. Shark Beauty did a like hairstyler that was Wicked.
I love that.
Which I didn't really, I think it was just like greenish.
Oh, that makes sense.
Crocs did
the
collab.
Crocs one was big.
Rem Beauty.
Which was to be expected.
Yeah, that's Ariana's makeup brand.
I'm surprised they didn't get exclusive rights in the beauty space, because then there was also It Cosmetics, and I think I've seen a few others. I was like, you would have thought that Ariana would have got the exclusive rights, but no, everyone's got Wicked stuff.
Yeah, it's been like Barbie, but I almost feel like I've seen more collabs for this than I did with Barbie.
I think that there's more collabs with Wicked than there is for Barbie, and there's a market for it too. Those theater kids, they are.
It's no joke. Well, I looked on the base website because I just kind of liked the green. Like, I was like, it's kind of a sick color.
Their stuff was really nice.
And most of them are sold out.
Sold out. So were the Stanley Cups. I mean, know.
Stanley always sells out when they do the thing.
But at our local Target, I saw the Glinda Cups. They had boxes of them. I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing these. Like, I personally don't
where? Like, in the
one.
back? Did you break in?
No. They had a cart to the side because it was the Starbucks inside the Target. They had a cart next to it with just a couple boxes. And then they had, like, one or two behind like where they keep the treatsies.
Interesting.
Yes, but
I did not see any, but I will say I am still not an owner of a single Stanley.
That's crazy. I almost bought one this week. I tried to buy their Love Shack Fancy collab and
sold out.
Crazy online experience. Sold out, but like not sold out. I got put into a waiting queue for like over 30 minutes.
Cup?
Yeah, for a cup. And I had it on my phone and my computer, and then I would get through to check out, and then I no, it was still there. Type, click to payment. I tried to use Apple Pay at first, and then it was saying $0. I'm like, this isn't working. I can't click send. So then I click checkout with a credit card, pushes me back to the waiting room. Another 30 minutes. I got through again, got pushed back out 10 minutes, and then it said sold out.
I will cricket you.
A Bo Stanley. That's my goal in life. A Bo Stanley.
I haven't cricketed in a while.
I know, so you need a project. I'm surprised you haven't broke that out for the holidays.
I'm trying not to do that because I don't want to like
crazy.
I don't want that to be my personality. Like that's the gift I give you. Like oh shit, like Haley's giving me a cricketed thing again. I know, but like what if on the wrapping paper that's how I put who it's to?
I love that. I think that's adorable.
A lot of work though. But this movie has also been giving Barbie because, like we were saying, it's like female empowerment, female friendships. It's really like highlighting bigger, deeper messages. So I feel like people are gonna end up loving it. And I saw when they did the screening, a lot of people were like bawling their eyes out at the end.
I fear that's going to be me. I've been a little emotional lately, I would say.
Oh no.
Same. So we'll see when that day comes. Odds are I would put money on me crying.
Me as well.
Beautiful.
And that's fine. And I would say that through this whole thing, we've learned that Cynthia and Ariana are living their dream. And I thought that pretty soon we could be living our dream, which would be to sip and shop at your local Target.
That would be above the Bo Stanley for me. And I know I just said that is my dream, but I would put Target margaritas over top of that.
And I just want to say that whoever started this rumor, you're rude.
Yeah, no, you're rude, that's
you're
actually
inconsiderate, and you're cruel, and it's unusual.
Because it's not real. This isn't
it's
really
not real.
Happening.
And I found this out after literally having to go. So TikTok had me fully convinced.
No,
and
TikTok
this is why sometimes
hard.
You really have to do your research off of TikTok. Because I was like, oh, let me get some information about like where this is happening.
Yes, where are they launching?
When are they launching? Where's the pilot? You know what I mean? And so I start looking into this. And in 2015, apparently, there was a new Target in Chicago that was opening that applied for 2 liquor licenses, one to sell it on the shelves and one to serve it. So everybody started this rumor back then in 2015 that Target was getting a liquor license to have a bar in their store. Well, it came out that this was for a Starbucks that was going in the Target because some Starbucks in Chicago, I guess, will do like evening menus where they have
fancy.
They'll serve wine and stuff, which
how did we not know this?
At the Starbucks Reserve there, you can get cocktails.
I got an espresso martini from there, like before espresso martinis were having their moment.
You started it.
I was a little bit
before the times. And so this really all turned out to be for the Starbucks in order to do their like evening bar there. And it turned out that even if you got a drink from the evening bar at the Starbucks inside the Target, you had to stay within 25 feet of the Starbucks.
Well, that's just messed up. How come I can't roam with it?
Exactly. And so really all this hype has been for nothing. This was not real. And somebody started it as a joke. But I don't understand why this isn't a thing because they would make an absolute killing doing something like this.
The demand is there.
You think about it, they would triple their sales because everyone's buying a cocktail marked up heck price for a Targarita.
I would do crazy things for a Targarita.
Right? And then you're drunk and you're shopping, you're obviously going to buy more.
Oh, 100%. And it's going to help the local economy because then maybe you have to Uber home.
Exactly.
So what is that doing? That is stimulating the economy at its finest.
And it makes no sense why this isn't a real thing. My hopes were up. When I tell you, I saw the first TikTok and I literally was like, Evan, he's sleeping on the couch, you know. I'm like, wake up.
Typical.
Target's starting to serve margaritas. And he was like, what? Why? And I was like, what do you mean,
fun.
why not? And he goes, well, I go, you'd be taking me, you realize that.
Yes, he would now be the DD.
That would be date night.
Yes, that would be a great date night. I mean, I love just strolling around a good old Target. It's tough around the holidays because it gets a little busy and my stroll around Target becomes everyone else's dream all of a sudden. I feel this way about malls as well.
Like, we also say this about cider mills in the fall.
Yes, it's our place where we go regularly, year round. It is a weekly experience for us, becomes everybody else's weekly experience, and it takes away my joy, and it's just rude. It's our birthday month. That shouldn't be happening in our birthday month.
Right. How is that fair?
It's really not fair.
It's too much. Well, I really wish that this was real. And if any stores are listening, I mean, really consider it. There's no reason to not consider it when you think about it. So consider it. And I would say that maybe this is a venture that we get in on, that maybe we open a store and we serve cocktails and let people sip and shop. But this is probably one of those things that we talked about last week where, like, we'll have this idea, we'll shelve it, we'll never come back to it, but it exists. So if it happens, we talked about it, we thought about it.
It was our idea first.
But let other people take it. You know what I mean?
We'll share the wealth.
And let's get into some other things that had people going absolutely insane on the internet this past week, which this one's kind of new. So we don't have
this is fresh off the press.
Fresh off the press. Hot off the press, as they would say. So we don't have all the details, but we have enough.
And we've done research for real, not even on TikTok. We used our own FBI skills to get some background information on the fact that Jeremiah from The Summer I Turned Pretty is now a married man.
Correct.
I'm pausing for dramatic effect because who the fuck knew Jeremiah from The Summer I Turned Pretty had a girlfriend? Not me. Not you.
Not I.
Not the internet. And not his Instagram either. He didn't have one morsel of this girl on his Instagram page.
But we've talked about this before, and we've said, what's better, a soft launch or a hard launch? And when I tell you this man chose his wedding to hard launch his relationship, insane. I mean, that is, I think, the worst you can get.
Yeah.
That's top tier. You can't get any.
And we had to dig. That. We had to dig. We said, where did this woman come from? How long have they been in a relationship for? And we found out their year anniversary was May 1st of this year. So they have been together a little over a year. Must be nice to be married.
But my question is, when did the engagement then happen? Right when they started dating? Because
it had to be.
Their wedding looked beautiful. And let me tell you, it wasn't planned overnight.
And here's the thing. We might not know because there is little to no evidence of the relationship on the interwebs. Little to none.
Yes, but even despite that, the little information we have is that they've been together for a little over a year total to this day.
Correct.
Based on her information that she posted on her own Instagram.
Yeah, she said.
So if you're only together for a year, how do you plan a wedding? When did you get engaged?
And it looked beautiful.
After 2 months? After 1 month?
It had to have been
3 months? It had to be, because you can't have a wedding that beautiful that quick.
No, you just can't. That's just not the way things go. Maybe 6 months, but still, that's a quick turnaround for that kind of flower arch.
Yeah, no, that's actually...
And how are you booking the venues? I understand he has some celebrity pull here, but most venues booked out through 2025. We're looking at, if you're engaged right now, 2026.
It's getting tough out there.
I'm not saying anything personal. This isn't something that I think about on my own often.
No. That's not on your mind.
We're good.
Not us doing calculations regularly about when we need things to happen so that we can have things happen in certain dates. We don't talk about that. It's not our business. It's obviously between you and your man, and that's not for us to say. And so anyways, but also there was a little bit more drama.
There was tea
with this wedding because people started coming out and being like, whoa. Didn't know he was married or even dating somebody, because they know people who worked on the set of The Summer I Turned Pretty and allegedly accused him of mingling a little too closely with some of the extras on set.
That was very polite the way you framed that.
Beautiful. And So now people are coming out being like, whoa, he couldn't have been with her this past summer because he was seeing other people.
Allegedly.
And so it's, maybe he thought he was like saving himself by doing the hard launch and that like it wouldn't come out that he was.
But it arguably made it worse.
Right, because you can't hard launch with a wedding.
No. You just can't. I've decided I think I prefer the soft launch in this world.
I agree.
It's much more fun. This is kind of wild. This is uncharted territory, really. We haven't seen something like this, and we will continue to follow the story closely.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of shady behavior, let's get into this week's shady stories. Make sure you keep writing in your shady stories for next week, but let's get into shady story number 1. In high school, I was talking to this guy on the baseball team, and at the time, I thought he was super cute. We talked for 6 months, and I truly believed the feelings were mutual. We were each other's number 1 on Snapchat for a while, with the double heart emoji next to our Bitmojis. One pep rally day, we'd been texting all day, and as I walked to my usual spot to sit with my friends, I noticed him walking in front of me, wearing his jersey number 9. I thought, oh, I'll say hi and hang out with him. But as I approached, I saw him holding hands with a girl I knew, someone he had orchestra class with. I was shocked and hurt, so I tried to avoid him by derailing and taking a different route to my friends. But as I turned the corner, he did the same, still holding hands with her. He looked at me, and even though I knew he was staring, I deliberately avoided making eye contact. I went to my friends and told them what I saw, and they couldn't believe it. Later into lunch, as I was talking with my friends, he walked by with his new girlfriend, literally making a lap around us, and did it again. At this point, I was so uncomfortable, I was practically hugging the lockers. He saw me clearly, but it seemed like he was doing it on purpose. After lunch, I went to class, and he Snapchatted me, looking remorseful. But after everything, I immediately ghosted him and removed him from my story and left him on red. I graduated a year early in 2022, and since then, I haven't talked to him. The next time I saw him was at my high school's homecoming, where he and his new girlfriend were there. I went with one of his baseball friends who I had been good friends with long before I'd met him. The last time I saw him was at prom. I went alone, still wanting to experience the senior events, and he completely ignored me, even though he was acknowledging everyone else I was with. But he stared at me all night. I have never had anything against his girlfriend. She was always kind to me in high school, though we were never close. I never knew they were together until that day that they were together and dropped the bomb on me. I had no idea he'd been talking to her while we were still talking, and little did I know he was a major playa. Can't blame him. Her dad won a Nobel Peace Prize for conducting, and I used to tell him about my daddy issues, LOL. It's been 3 years, and I don't regret ghosting him. He used me emotionally, and looking back, it's funny how obvious his game was. He and that girl have been dating since that day. I was just naive and 16. P.S. I'm the same as the catfish guy in the show You story. It's so funny to look back at events that transpired and realized I was just a teenager.
My jaw dropped. Both stories? I mean,
iconic.
Truly an icon.
I love this though because we've talked about how we miss the days that you could see people's best friends on Snapchat.
That was chef's kiss. Best time.
And in this scenario, how would the girl not know?
Oh my gosh. Best friends? That poor girl, because my guess is this playa that you were not his only victim. My guess is there were more girls he was Snapchatting and more girls that he had on the side. And I'm sure it's continued because that's just the vibe I get from these few paragraphs about this man.
I agree. I agree. I would say this is like 7 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 for the shock factor.
Of the catfish.
Yes,
okay,
the catfish
that's
story.
Fair. That's very fair.
Love to hear more of your stories. It sounds like we may have more, so keep them coming. Beautiful writing. Shady story number 2. Since listening to your pod, it's inspired me to become a little shady. I got a small kink for mature women, and every once in a while, I'll dabble a little bit with Ashley Madison. There was a big paywall for guys on the site, so I won't be on it too much. but I've had a recent experience that I find worthy of sharing on the pod. It all started last week when I sent a request to see the private photos on the account with no profile picture. It costs money to send the first message to someone new, so I'll usually send a photo request and a wink, and if they accept, I will send a message and we'd go from there. The account accepted the request, and most of the photos had a mask filter over her face, but I had a feeling that this person looked familiar based off of what I could make out. But once I noticed the birthmark underneath one of her ears, I immediately knew without a doubt that this was the mom of one of my childhood friends. Now for reference, this woman was known in our high school friend group as Joey's, not the real name, MILF mom. I was good enough friends with him, and me and a couple other guys would go over to his parents' house to hang out on a regular basis. We all oogled over how hot his mom was, like all high school boys would, and I always had a feeling she knew it and she liked the fact that we did it. She was married and still is. I asked what she was looking for on Ashley Madison, and she told me she wants discreet fun with a younger guy. I look a lot different than I did in the time I would have seen her, which was close to a decade ago. I work out a lot and I put a big effort into making myself look attractive. She hasn't alluded to the fact that I may look like a friend of her son, so I don't believe she recognizes me. I don't know how I felt about pursuing a meetup with her. She's still married, and Joey was a friend of mine, and I'd be upset if one of my friends slept with my mom. But at the same time, smashing a friend's MILF mom is a fantasy, and I'm sure many guys have dreamed of. I gave in, and we set up a meetup next week at a hotel. I'm not sure if she will recognize me. We are using fake names, and I will just play dumb if she asks. I've had the jitters since we set the meetup, and I was way more nervous than I thought I'd be if I was somebody I didn't know. If this makes it on the pod, I'll send an update with what happens. If not, I will probably take this to the grave with me. What?
I was first shocked because I thought Ashley Madison was no longer a thing because
I don't know what that is.
In like 2015, I believe it was like hacked, or maybe it was even more recent than that. Ashley Madison was a site for people who were married to cheat on their spouses, I believe, allegedly. And so I want to say it was 2015. It might have been even more recently than that. It was hacked, and everybody's email who was a part of it got leaked. So all these people were in trouble with their spouses, obviously. And so I thought that after that, it just no longer existed.
But it kept on keeping on. But it still
exists. And supposedly, it has over 75 million users to this day. And they swear that it's more secure now. And so first I was like, when I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, this still exists. But apparently it does. And it's for like married people, people in open relationships, people who want to date like younger, older people. And so this is a real thing that happens, apparently with 75 million people. And so one, that was shocking. Two, like, do you think she's going to know that this is her son's friend? And also the whole time that when you were reading this, I was just singing in my head, Joey's mom.
Oh my gosh. Gosh.
Anyways, so like, do you think if she notices or actually knows, she won't do it? Or do you think she's going to be like, I don't care?
I feel like
she's married.
Well, I feel like she's already set these plans and she will go through regardless of if she recognizes him or not. But in my heart, I feel like she's going to recognize him.
Right. Like, you have to.
Yes. I feel like it's different for, like, I don't know, if we had like a 10-year reunion, like I feel like we changed so much and like from like what we
But even
like,
then I still could like put names to faces. Exactly. Or like even if you can't put names to faces, you're like, I know this person.
Yes, and where do I know them from? And I feel like parents have an even better recognition of like, I feel like my mom could point out like if we were like at Target and ran into like somebody that I went to like elementary
she'd be like,
school.
You went to school with them. Yeah.
Yes, because I don't know, I just feel like parents have that gift because like they're frontal lobe is fully developed when we're going through
and
school,
ours is
and ours is not. So
it'd be more likely that he wouldn't recognize her than she wouldn't recognize him almost.
Yes.
I think she's going to know. I would love to know what happened, so please send an update. It looks like you're not taking this one to the grave. And yeah, we need the update here. I would say this is like a 9 out of 10.
I agree. 8 or 9 for me.
Okay, shady story number 3. So I've had my number for 5 years, maybe 6. I don't remember exactly. When I got this number, the previous owner still got regular messages and phone calls, which was completely understandable that she didn't have everyone up to date on her newest phone number or lack of number. The first 3 months, it was nothing to me. I would answer the calls and send them on their way. Well, that was up until I got a phone call from the elementary school looking for her, let's call her Sarah. Sarah's daughter was throwing up and running high fever and needed to go home. I told the school that this was a new number for me and there was no Sarah around. I thought certainly this issue would make her come to the realization that she needed to update her phone number, but no. I had to block the school's number because I continued to get calls and texts that had way too much information about Sarah's daughter, including her name, age, and school events with times and changes in school schedules. I wasn't comfortable receiving that info, so I blocked it. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I blocked the school, Sarah's grandmother calls me because I assumed the school couldn't get a hold of Sarah. But I have to tell the grandma I'm not Sarah and please ask her granddaughter to update her information. Sarah still did not. With all the information that I unwillingly had on Sarah, full name, age, where she attends college, her home address, and where she works, I found her on Facebook and kindly asked her to not use her old number anymore. I'm not sure if she saw the message or not, but it didn't help my problem. This has been ongoing for years, and it's not just spam. It's people she knows, coworkers, family, doctors, her real estate agent even. So before, if she had appointments that were asking to be verified via text to my phone, I would just ignore them. But she had an appointment this time, and I'm just so fed up of Sarah still giving out this number after 5 years of this nonsense, I canceled her appointment for her. A few days later, a new appointment to the same place needed verification, and I canceled it again. And the next one I get will be canceled also. Get your shit together, Sarah.
This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I think that's perfect. If this has been going on for years, a little canceled appointment. Yeah, learn your lesson, Sarah.
Right, but like, how are people getting in contact? Like, if you're in college, you have kids, you have family, like, don't they need to get a hold of you somehow?
One would think.
Get a pager.
Sarah seems to be just living life
on the
carefree.
Edge.
Yeah,
I guess so. That's just crazy too, because like I feel like after a certain, like if she was still actively giving it out, clearly. Like it's not like it was like from previously and she was like, oh shit, like I didn't change my number, I gotta update it. But like no, she willingly knew that this was happening and was just like, too bad. Like you want a stranger having all that information about you? I would be so creeped out.
It's very bizarre.
Because even think about it, like I feel like so much personal information goes to your phone. Or like every account you make online now is like 2-step verification. Are you just not verifying any of your...
How is she verifying anything?
I don't know. I think this is hilarious though. And I definitely would still continue to cancel the appointments until she changes the number. Because obviously this is up to date. She's giving them this information in real time saying this is my phone number. So yeah, I say keep doing it. I 10 out of 10 as well. But that concludes this week's episode. Like I said, we are doing the advent calendar unboxing in the bonus content. It is not too soon, okay? Because this is going to give people, what if these advent calendars are amazing? Now you have time to buy them and gift them to people for the holidays. So we will be doing lots of holiday content on our bonus content. So join the Patreon if you want to see that. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.